Okay. Let's check if somebody enters the room so we can
Okay,
start. Are you
no
listening to
problem.
me?
Yes, I
It's
hear
nice.
you very well. It's
Okay.
all good.
Is it sunny in London?
No, no, it's kind of cloudy. It's just
Okay.
I
All
just
right.
got sitting there, so
Because
extra light.
yeah, it's shiny, right? I thought it was sunny because here it's sunny, yeah.
Well, of course it is. Of course it is.
Mostly.
Yeah,
uh,
no,
okay.
because we're in England. It's mostly raining.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So we got some visitors in here, so we're gonna start. Okay. Hello, guys. My name is Murilo Leite, and we are here in the Genocidio official YouTube channel for the Metal World live sessions and exclusive series of live chats with worldwide metal musicians. Right. Firstly, I'd like to talk and to thank our supporters, which is okay, Vila Cham Brewery. It's a craft beer from Brazil. Excellent beer. Today I'm having a Latin Black. Yeah, it's a stout one. It's very good.
Very
And
good.
for Tony, the next time you come here to Brazil, I'm going to take you to the Montreal Music Center. It's the
Oh,
best music store for instruments here in São Paulo, right?
perfect, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. So, as I talk here, our first guest is a very special one. Okay. He founded an English band called Atomkraft. Joined one of my main and Genocidio's main influences, which is simply Venom. Okay, in back in late 80s and early 90s, and had also an acting career. Didn't know that. Some of you don't know, but we are gonna talk about. So, okay, let's know about the lead singer and bass player of Venom Inc., Tony Demolition Man Dolan, right? Hello, Tony. How are you, my bro?
I'm
It's
very good.
a
It's
pleasure
the
to
same
have you
to you.
here, man.
It's great to be here, and best to the band, and of course Brazil. And thank you for having me. And I talk too much, but everybody already knows that. But I send my best, and it's nice to see you from a very not sunny London, a very wet, rainy London. But it's good to see you. Before we start, can I just say one word?
For
Worcester
sure,
sauce.
it's all yours.
I just have to say Worcester sauce. That's all I have to say. The person who needs to hear that will have now heard that. But it's
Oh,
Worcester sauce. Okay, got it.
very good, very good. Nice to see you again. Okay, we saw sometimes personally, yeah, recently,
Yes,
but
yes.
nowadays due to the quarantine, it's only by virtual issues. So we are here to talk a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's still great because it's always best to see you in person and see all the guys. And of course, Brazil, which I love, as everybody knows, very, very much. Don't forget, I still have my Sao Paulo. Hold on.
Uh,
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
uh-huh.
My Sao
Yeah,
Paulo
yeah.
tattoo. But it's at least we can still reach out across the miles through the internet. So thank goodness for that. We can still keep connected, which is brilliant.
My pleasure. I talked to all my of my friends today, and I said that you are one of the Brazilians that weren't born here in Brazil. I feel that from you because you're very kind to people. You're very uh, extrovert, something like this. Okay, sometimes it's not like an Englishman, not against about the Englishman, but I feel some kind of a Brazilian vibe on yourself.
Well, I was also. I mean, I was born in the UK, but I grew up quite a bit in Canada, and then came back to the UK, and I spent most of my life traveling the world. And
Yeah.
there's some very, very special places. But just to give you a little bit, why Brazil is so special, because when I was about 15 and I was at school, and we were thinking about what we were going to do when we left school, and I just said I wanted to meet everybody on the planet, and my teacher was like, "You're an idiot, boy. How can you do that?" And I said, "Well, I can't meet everybody on the planet, but I could do a job where I meet as many as I could." And then he said, "Why don't you just read a book?" So I pulled out a National Geographic, and on the cover was the Jesus, was the Jesus statue in Rio, and opened the page. It was all about carnival, and I just looked. I had no idea where it was, what it was, but someone said to me, "What is that?" I went, "I don't know, but one day I'm gonna go there." And so the first time I came to Brazil was very special, and it remains in my heart as the most special place on the planet. And when I land there, I feel like I've come home to family, and everybody is always so amazing and makes you feel so welcome. So it's very special for me.
Okay, so to travel around the world, I guess you chose the best profession to do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Other than being, I guess, if I was some kind of priest where I was taking the word of God around the world, there's only other. It'll just be an evil musician. So I figured, priest, musician. Fuck that.
Okay.
I'll go heavy metal.
Yeah, heavy metal. Yeah, yeah. We are not musicians. We are heavy metal players, right? Like,
Absolutely, absolutely, without
yeah.
a doubt.
Okay, Tony. So you talking about a little bit about your childhood. So what about music? How did it all start? You started playing the bass. How could it start?
It was completely by accident. I mean, of course, I love music, and my mom and dad used to love Bill Haley and the Comets, and
Hey.
all that kind of stuff, and I kind Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons I loved completely, and
Mhm.
then I kind of grew up on that. Then when I moved to Canada and I became like a teenager, I would listen. Mainly was Ted Nugent, Kiss, Foreigner, things like that in the mid 70s. And then when I came back to England in the late 70s, punk rock was at its peak. So the Sex Pistols, Angelic Upstarts, SLF, the Clash, and I walked into it and thought, what the fuck is going on here? But I guess I was the right age. It just filled me with like joy, and I could watch these people who were playing instruments who didn't seem to be the best instrumentalists, but they weren't Pink Floyd and they weren't Deep Purple, but they were just making a noise and they seemed to be having a voice, and it just really excited me. And so I became a punk very quickly, and then my sister had an old acoustic guitar with like 3 strings on it. So I decided I would just like play it. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I just wanted to see what I could do with it. And I was shit, of course, and I had no idea what I was doing. But then a guy I'd grown up with when I was very young, we were at
Uh,
school together, and we were walking into the city, into Newcastle, and one sunny day, we were fucking around singing songs and doing solos in the songs, and we said we should have a band. And so he said, "I'm going to get a drum kit." I went, "Oh, okay." His brother had a guitar and a bass, so I went over and we used to try and write songs. We put a punk band together, and then we kind of became a metal band because I saw Motorhead, and that was it for me. It was like, fuck, I just want to do that. That was amazing.
Euromine. Yeah.
It just totally blew my mind. And of course, I wanted to do what that guy did with that funny bass with the white boots on, and it was Lemmy. And his brother, my friend's brother, had a bass guitar. So I said, well, we played a show, and the bassist we had for the show, his mum and dad told him that he couldn't do the band anymore. They wanted him to be a lawyer. So I,
Lawyer.
I just said, well, your brother's got a bass. I'll just play the bass then. And that was it. And once I put it on, I kind of fumbled my way around it. Then saw Motorhead, then thought I got to get that Rickenbacker. So I managed to get one of them, and that was it. It was all over by then.
Okay. So getting from the script I have here, okay, because something caught my attention here. To be a teenager in England in the 70s would be something like a dream come true because you had the Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and then you
Oh,
have Pink Floyd and many others, Jethro Tull and something, and then you had the punk rock and the new wave of British heavy metal. So many influences coming together. What kind of music are all of them influenced you?
well, I think the thing is that you couldn't hear Queen or a Deep
Queen,
Purple or Black.
Queen. uh,
Led Zeppelin, and think, wow, that was like, there's something special going on there. And of course, then you had the energy of the Sex Pistols and fucking the Buzzcocks and all of that scene. And it kind of, they were separated out into punks and heavies. And of course, the late 70s, you had Slade, T Rex, all of
yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of on. Mark Bolan, Dave Bowie. So there was such a massive scene around everywhere
Many bands.
going on, and I guess it all had its like place where it was influencing you, but then there wasn't there was divisions over the music, but not so bad, not so many categories and things. It was just music. It was either this or it was that, and you liked it or you didn't. And I think would go to a concert to see Rose Tattoo, and there'd be a guy standing on this side with a Rush patch on, and a guy standing on the other side with a Toto patch on, or a Bad Company patch, and a
uh,
guy with a head patch or Saxon. So it was kind of all just just a scene that was happening, so exciting. And I think once punk died, the new wave of British heavy metal kind of took
yeah,
over, and then that was an explosion all by itself. You had crossover where you had Motorhead, who kind of took the heaviness of Sabbath and Purple and the energy of punk and just put it all together. And as Lemmy said, Hawkwind were quite a transient prog rock band, but he wanted to make a statement. He was so pissed, he just wanted to make a statement. And
okay.
till the day he died, if he could have still been in Hawkwind, he would have been in Hawkwind. He said it himself. But he wanted to go, fuck you. So Motorhead was just a fuck you. But that's what happens. Sex Pistols were a fuck you. Venom was a fuck you. Motorhead were a fuck you. And when you have a band that stands up and goes, fuck this. I mean, if you think of the 90s, in the early 90s, the whole metal scene was suffering, and you had Nirvana, the new wave in England was like Blur and Oasis, and you had the crush coming over from America, that whole grunge scene. So
Yeah,
metal didn't have a place. And what happened? You get to the mid 90s, there's a black metal resurgence which just takes off in Scandinavia, and then you have Pantera in Texas stand up and go, fuck this, and all of a sudden the world changes again. So that's when it's exciting, and that's when your as a teenager, your whole world changes at that moment. You walk into something, you're not expecting anything, and all of a sudden it slaps you in the face, and your just life changes. That's
okay.
the wonderful thing about it.
Wow, wow. It's awesome to listen to this because you can imagine many things because I like all of the bands that you mentioned. So, and for us in Brazil, we were absorbing this kind of music and imagine there, living there, and things are happening there. It would be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, if I think of that period, my in my late teens and early 20s, where I lived in Newcastle,
Okay,
if I went out to a bar at the weekend, which we did every
okay.
weekend, but if I went to a bar, every every single person I met was either in a band or their brother was in a band or they were going to be in a band or so they knew someone. It's like there were so many people making music, local level and everything else. So many bands playing. It was just, you just lived it and you breathed it all the time. And when you're in it, it doesn't seem like anything's happening. It just seems normal. It doesn't seem particularly special. It's only now when you go back in time and look and you think, fucking hell, I wish I'd realized then where I was and what was happening. But
Yeah.
it's just a nice journey.
Yeah, but we so many musicians because I make a comparison to São Paulo. São Paulo has many musicians, and sometimes in the past times there were more musicians than audience, like this,
Yes,
right? But what
yeah.
about
No,
Newcastle?
exactly.
Yeah,
It was exactly the same, exactly just like that. It's probably if I go to Galleria de Rock in Sao Paulo, there, I
yeah,
love it because it's like Newcastle was in the 80s. There's
yeah,
just metal shops and albums and things you can wear and posters and and everywhere you look, there's metal kids, and I love being there. And it's exactly how it was. And Paolo has got that vibrance, you know. I mean, people come to
Yeah.
our shows, and I try and talk to everybody, and everybody I talk to is to give me a CD or a demo or is telling me about their band. And then when I come back to England, I get inundated with music from all over the planet, and it's like, and particularly from Sao Paulo or Brazil, and all of Brazil, but mainly Sao Paulo.
Uh,
And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It is completely it's completely how we lived it. You know, exactly how it was. So vibrant. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Just a little pause.
Sorry,
Okay,
I'm just trying
Tony.
to keep light on it.
Yeah, Anderson. This question I'm gonna ask him at the end, right? Okay, and after I'm going to ask you the question that he made it here. Okay, Tony, no problem. Okay, I'm just answering to the guy because the guy needs an answer.
No,
Yeah, but then you fan, okay, working time. Then you started playing at Atomkraft, right? Was it your first band, Atomkraft?
we kind of we I kind of formed a punk band with my friend who was the drummer, and then we were kind of doing that because most of the guys that were playing instruments with us were into punk too, because it was at the height of the punk scene, and so we just naturally, I love punk, so we were a punk band. And you didn't have to be so skilled to do it. So because we were novice guitar players and drummers and stuff, it was easy to do. And then one of the guitarists left. The drummer was really into AC/DC and Thin Lizzy. Then I saw
Mm-hmm.
Motorhead, and then it changed, and we just then wanted to be a heavy band. So we tried to look at how the song structures worked, and we tried to write some heavier songs. And
Okay.
then I said, well, we must change our name. We should change our name. We had a show that was that had been offered to us to play. So I was trying to think of a name that would be cool, like a heavy metal name. And then
Okay.
one of the guys that we knew uh, came back from Germany, and he had a badge, a little button badge that as a gift for us, and it said Atomkraft Nein Danke, which was nuclear power, no thanks, because there was a big anti-nuclear movement going. And I just looked at the word and I went, Atomkraft, what does that mean? And he said, oh, nuclear power. And I went, that's the name of our band, Atomkraft. And that's when
But
we became
the
nuclear
name
power.
is awesome. I think Atomkraft is a perfect name for a band, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm say sorry. Yeah, it's not like this. Yeah.
Well, you know, much like when myself and Mantis formed Empire of Evil, which was, an anagram of Primeval,
Yeah.
with Anton, Kronos' brother, people hated the name. They didn't like the name. And in Germany, um, when we did the first couple of real tours, I mean, we played with Slayer on Hello Waits, and then we did
Oh,
a big tour with Exodus and Venom in '85 throughout Europe. And the shows were packed and they were crazy off the map. But the most impression that I was left with was that using a German word as a description for an English band, the Germans didn't like it. They didn't like it, and they said
no.
it was a shit name. They didn't like the name, and of course, I should have realized that all of the places that you would see Atomkraft, it said no thanks. Atomkraft nein danke. Atomkraft no thanks. So I was thinking maybe I should have picked a name that said yes please, no thank you. So I guess, but I like the name. I still do, and that band was my whole life, and it still is, and I still write and I still record, and I keep planning an album every year, and it never happens, but it means so much to me because it's part of my history.
Okay. You record future games only on record, was it? Future games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Future Warriors.
Future Warriors. Oh. changing the name here. Future Warriors in
Yeah,
1985.
we we did we did Future Warriors, was the first album as a three piece, and then we did, and then we had a bit of an argument, and I left for a moment after recording some songs, and the guys got some other guys in, and they finished off the Queen of Death EP, but on the B side they did two tracks without me, and on the B side my stuff is still there with my bass playing, and then I
Okay.
went back into the band and we recorded mini album called Conductors of Noise. Had six tracks on. It was a bit more thrash because Atomkraft was a bit proto thrash. And the problem for the band was really that at the time that we began in '79, there was no extreme metal. So the most
No.
extreme metal was Motorhead, and
Yeah.
we were more extreme, we thought. So it was a bit difficult. People didn't quite know how to accept us. And, you know, it's another point that from the same city that Venom launched, that made it easier for us because all of a sudden then people accepted that you could have extreme metal, whereas before that nobody would really get it. You know, they wanted to hear
Okay.
more accessible stuff, and of course that's when the world changed.
Yeah, yeah. But is still Adam Craft active or stop it? What's the current status of Adam Craft?
Well, basically, Atomkraft is still me. So, if I do something, I have, now I have so many great musicians that will play with me as a guest, and I'm always writing for Atomkraft. So I think, but as a band, it fell apart. And in 1988, we did the last tour. We were the first British band to go behind the Iron Curtain.
Okay,
And we went with Nasty Savage from Florida, superb band, and Exuma from Germany, still friends, again, superb band. And we had a great tour. But when we came back from the guitarist decided he wanted to leave. And the singer we had at the time, I was playing, by that point in Atomkraft in 88, I was playing rhythm guitar. So we had a more thrash sound. And the singer wasn't so happy. So the band kind of stopped. And at the
okay,
same time that we stopped, I got a phone call from Abaddon and the manager of Venom, and they said, Cross has gone to America, he's left the band, and we have a record deal to do, and we will need a bass vocalist. And you know the band better than anybody. You've been there from the beginning. You know us really well, and you know where we went wrong. So would you join? And of course, I thought, well, I could keep going with Atomkraft, but I have to rebuild the band again,
okay,
or I could go and have some fun with my friends and do a load of Venom songs. So I said the only point I had that would allow me to say yes was if Mantis was there, because to me, I couldn't envisage a version of Venom without Mantis and Kronos. So maybe if you had Abaddon and Mantis, or Abaddon and Kronos, or Mantis and Kronos, but just Abaddon, I didn't think it would work. So they weren't talking to each other. They had been arguing. So they asked me, would you talk to Jeff? So he's like my brother. So I told him what I thought. And he said, well, if I would be in the band, then he would come back. So I said, well, I'm not going to be in the band unless you come back. And so we agreed, let's do it then. And that's how I joined Venom, and we started on Prime Evil.
okay. Yeah, yeah. But then later the Aaron Craft journey, you joined Venom. Okay, how did you join Venom?
Well, as I say, we finished the tour with Atomkraft, and it was a successful tour, the best one we did. We had great reviews, and everything felt really good. And then the guitarist, for his own reasons, I guess he didn't like me anymore, or thought I was becoming too popular, or I don't know. But he decided he didn't want to be in the band. And so I thought,
Hmm.
oh, that's okay. We can be a three piece then. And then the singer, we had a singer at the time, Ian Swift, who had sang for Avenger and the band Satan, and
Okay.
he then decided he was going to leave. And
Ah,
so I was thinking, you know, we started as a three piece, we've become a four piece, and now a five piece, and now I got to go back to being a three piece. And I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if I'm interested anymore. And
okay.
it just so happened that at the same we were being managed by the manager and a Venom and
Oh,
Abaddon, who's the drummer of Venom. So they called me on the phone and said, "Would you come to a pub? We want to have a chat with you." And so I assumed it was going to be a chat about Atomkraft and what were you going to do next. So I
okay.
went to see them, and they told me this story that Calm Before the Storm hadn't been the best album, hadn't been well received. They wanted to do a new album. They had a new record deal with Music for Nations, who had done Metallica and everybody. And they said, but Kronos has left. He's moved to America with the guitarists. So we need a bass vocalist, and you're the choice. So I called Mantis and said I would do it if he would do it. And he said he would do it if I would do it. So we did it.
So Primeval in 1989 was the first one, the first record with Venom, right? And how did you feel? How was the vibe between all of you? How was that?
You know, it was great because I think Mantis had lost interest on Possessed and went to do his solo thing because he didn't feel the music was fulfilling him, and he didn't like what was happening in the band between the people in the band. And
Okay.
Jeff's a quiet guy, and he likes peace and quiet. He doesn't like, you know, politics, so he just went, "Fuck this, I'm out." And and I think Abaddon and Kronos had tried, but they just were missing whatever the element was that was so wonderful about those early albums. You know, black metal, what the hell, at war with Satan. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I knew that we had to get that vibe back. We had to get, you know, the hunger back. We weren't the same young people that we were, but we had to find what it was that made it so exciting for us. And
Yeah.
so I, you know, I have a bigger vocal range, and I have a more punky kind of attack on this stuff. So I just pulled on my own punkness and what I loved about Venom, and my energy pushed in there just brought Jeff back to life, and he just became so enthused and so energetic, and his material was so fucking good. And then Abaddon, you know, found there was no politics anymore because there were just another two people who wanted to make music, and I think he had the best time. And you know, as a testament to anybody who likes the album is great, and anybody who doesn't like the album, that's okay too. But I think for me, what's important is that both Abaddon and Mantis feel that Primeval is one of their favorite albums out of the whole catalog. You cannot discount the early albums, of course, I don't. But to have both the guys who were in the band who made those seminal albums, Welcome to Hell and Black Metal, tell you that Primeval is one of their favorite albums that they've done is kind of cool. So I'm proud of what I did, and I'm proud of what we all did. It was an amazing time.
Good, good. Was a big pressure for you to replace Kronos when you were doing the shows after for the Primeval tour? How was that? The audience? Did
Well, you
they?
know, it it yeah, I got asked, I did get asked by people is that question, and I'm being absolutely honest here, Murillo. I did not consider that one moment. For me, I was playing music that I liked and I loved, and I was
Okay.
playing with guys that were friends. So I didn't think about replacing really anybody. I just always said, time that the world needs a Venom. And if the choice is no Venom or a Venom, then I was prepared to make sure it didn't die. And so that was my focus. And I
Okay.
was the same with fans then as I am now. They were the most important thing, the music and the fans. And I got so much support, and it was so wonderful. We did so many incredible shows. And I never ever, now with the internet, you have people going, he's a dick, he's a douche, I hate his shit, he's like, I hate this, I hate that, I love this. But back then, there was no internet. So those people who didn't dig you or thought you sucked just didn't come to see you. So the people who came to see you were the ones who loved you. And we played packed out shows, sold out shows. So if there was somebody sitting in their garage or in their basement hating me, I never knew it. So for me, it was superb.
Oh yeah, I imagine. And then after you did Temples of Ice in 1991. After we talk about your trilogy in Venom, I'm going to, as a fan, okay, if you permit, I'm going to tell my impressions about that time of Venom. But I think Temples of Ice is a higher degree in your stand in Venom. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. You can. Absolutely.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Oh, it's again.
I think we have a little technical.
Yeah,
Can you hear
yeah.
me?
Yeah, now I can. I can. Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
Yeah,
What was your question again?
yeah, yeah. I'm asking about the Temples of Ice. Okay, in 1991, you released Temples of Ice, which for me is a higher level from Primeval. I think you were more confident, you were more into each other, and the result, the upshot was for me as a fan was better because I think the production is better, the quality of the sound is better than Primeval. And you can, I think Tony Dolan is more Tony Dolan this time. I don't know. It's my impression from the listener, from the fan.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. You know, we became we became our own version of the band, and
Yeah,
so Temples of Ice, I wrote even more on, and the Wastelands too. But I think also the production, because we had a real producer on Primeval, and then Abaddon felt that we could produce, or he could produce with the engineer Kevin Ridley, who is brilliant and now the vocalist of Skyclad. They could produce an album of the same quality, but it just wasn't the same. So it had a different kind of quality. Um, the songs were a bit more different. We were kind of pushing in a new, but it was the sign of the times also, because in the early 90s, as I
was very different, huh?
said, metal music had changed a bit. You were trying
I think we missed him.
between the
Tony, we got all. Yeah, no.
yes. I think I think there's a storm outside, so I think it's interrupting our Wi-Fi.
All right. Right.
So
So,
apologies.
so the Temples of Ice. So for you, you think it's another moment for the band that time, right? Listen.
Yes, absolutely. I think Temples of Ice and the Wastelands were the last album, the Wastelands in '92. I think both of those albums are quite different to to Primeval, and I think I don't know if it was a good thing to have them not produced the same way. I think if they had had the same production as Primeval, the songs would have been, heavier, sounded heavier. But we did, myself and Mantis re-recorded as Empire of Evil. We did an album we called Crucified. I selected songs I'd
Yeah.
written for Venom. We selected the ones we really liked and we re-recorded them. And when you hear them like that, they sound fucking fantastic. So, but that's in hindsight. When you're doing those albums, you just do the best you can, and you have to be happy with them. So, I guess we were happy with them at the time. So, they're part of a history now, I guess.
Yeah. My impression, okay, as a fan, Primeval is something like a transition album because you had also the Chronos Shadow and on the band, and you have a new kind of thing happening, like you entering the band. Okay, so it was a mixture
Yeah.
of things. Okay, in Temples of Ice, I think you were more into the band. Okay, and you record. I think
Yes.
Temples of Ice is more into heavy metal itself. Okay, it's not so like
Yeah.
the fellow stuff. Yeah, and when you work with Wastelands, Wasteland, I think it's the most experimental one because you have many kinds
Yeah.
of and moods and things, and I think it's very good because it's like the face of Venom that the fans wouldn't have been contact. So it was like, wow, what's this
No,
Venom? Yeah,
I think that's it. I think if you look at the apart from the sound Venom had, which was distinctive, but if you look at the whole a journey from Venom, you
yeah,
from Welcome to Hell to Black Metal are very different albums, production
yeah,
wise, song structure. If you then think of between Black Metal and At War with Satan, but then you think of the singles Manitou, Seven Gates of Hell,
yeah,
Nightmare, all very different kind of songs. And I think that Mantis was always pushing himself into that experimental. He wanted to get more experimental. I mean, the bulk of At War with Satan, that's Kronos's opus. That's his 2112. That's his Rush thing. And,
mm,
so they were already thinking in terms to push it. But I think they kind of locked themselves in. So once they tried to be more experimental, the fans didn't react to it very well. They didn't want that. They wanted
yeah,
traditional Venom doing Welcome to Hell and Black Metal. They didn't want any of the other shit. And I think that was a problem for them. So, I was very aware of that and how Jeff writes naturally, and we work together so well on music that I thought, well, we have to establish the connection, Primeval, as you said, and then we can just move anywhere we want. So I think your synopsis or your review there of the process is bang on. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what we did. And
yeah,
I just moved in a more comfortable zone, which was more experimental, and we could just do it, because it wasn't the 80s anymore. We were into the 90s now, and music
yeah.
was different. So why shouldn't the band themselves?
The metal age that time was very, it was a kind of proof because the bands needed to, I don't know, because Venom in 80s was like a top band. Okay, Metallica was the opening act for Venom. So to
Yeah,
enter another decade, it was a challenge for
yeah,
mainly for Venom, right? And we need to we
yeah.
need. Yeah, yeah, that's very good because you have to position the band at the time. It's very different. Very different.
Yeah, very different. And if you think when you could be the best heavyweight boxer in the world, and
Yeah,
you can fight everybody who is the heavyweight boxers in your category right now, and you could beat everybody. But there's a young guy who's watching every fight you do, watching everything you do. He knows how you fight. And in 10 years' time, he's going to come and kick your ass and take your title, because that's what happens. You know, you
Yeah.
you 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 don't see the progress yourself because you're in the moment. And I think the bands that were opening for Venom, and the bands that were, looking at them and go, we want to do that, like I did with my head, were writing stuff that superseded Venom. And by the time Venom wanted to change and move, it was too late. People didn't want them to change. And that's great. Except when the music scene changes, you've got to be ready to go with it. And Metallica are huge now, and they survived. But think of Load, Reload, Lulu. Think of Elephant
Yeah.
Anger. Think of all of those moments where you go, "What were they doing?" Now you have to take into account that when they did Load and Reload, grunge was the big thing.
Yeah.
So they were trying to keep themselves alive by changing, and fans didn't want them to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Because many fans
But
don't
much like
realize when you were a musician.
through my
Sorry, are you listening to me, Ra? Tony, are you again?
I've got you. I think it's just I've got you. I've got you.
What you
I
said
can
is
hear.
you're perfectly right, because musicians, okay, the fans, sometimes they don't understand why the musicians make that kind of music in that time, because they don't want the musical suicide. That's the thing, okay? Because if they do the same thing all the time, it's
You
gonna
know,
be so dull, right? It's gonna be so dull. So that's we that try to do things different. Yeah.
exactly. And you have to think. You have to think also that if you make an album and it's really successful, everybody loves it. The most of those people are probably going to be younger people, 18, 20, 21, but they're not going to be 18 or 20 or 21 the whole lives. So if you then move forward 10 years, they want you to play all of those classic songs because
Yeah.
it reminds them of when they first heard them, when they were young,
Yeah.
why they were inspired. If you go on stage and you play your whole new album, even if it's a really good album, and you don't play any of the classics, they hate you because they want to
Yeah.
hear the songs that made them feel good when they were young.
Perfect
And
definition.
it's just how music is. But
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
saying you know, I've had fans come, and so has Jeff, and they say, my introduction to Venom was The Wastelands or Temples of Ice or Primeval. And,
Oh.
that was the first thing I heard about. I fell in the band. And so, if you were born and you were listening to Venom in the 80s, you're going to love that version better than anything else. Everything else sucks. That's the only version you want to listen to because that's what made you love music. But some people were born in 1990. So the first time they heard Venom might have been the Metal Black album
Yeah.
or Hell or Fallen Angels or even Ave. So they're introduced to a totally different thing at a totally different time in their life. And when they go back and listen to those old albums, they don't do the same for them that they do for us. They have a different feeling when they hear those old albums, and some might like them and some might not like them. Some might understand what was
Yeah.
happening then and some not. But
It
that's
happens.
the wonderful when you have a band. Yeah, when you have a band that survived a long time, has so many different things happening.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody. That's what I love about the history of and the legend of Venom. Doesn't matter when you find Venom, there's something amazing to discover. somewhere you'll find something that you love, and that's what I love about the band, you know. And
Yeah.
I think an important point is also that right now you still can go and see Kronos being Venom and doing his thing, and you can come and see us, so you can see Mantis doing it. And I think for a fan, that's amazing that you can have two helpings of it rather than just one. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. But not to be controversial, okay? I'm not going to be biased, right? I watched Venom here in Brazil in 2018, and I watched Venom Inc. In 2019. Venom Inc. is much better alive. Okay, not, yeah. I'm not going to be a kind of
Well,
biased
I think
person. That's my impression. Okay. Luciano
yeah.
Piantoni.
I
Okay.
mean
I'm not. What,
that's
Tony?
very nice. That's very
Yeah, yeah. It's the truth. It's the truth. Simply. Yeah. Luciano Piantoni, a guy from Brazil here. You need to play the album Temples of Ice in its entirety. It's one of the greatest heavy metal albums of all time. My God. Were you able to do that?
Thank you very much. That's very nice to hear. We do put Temples of Ice in the set, but we haven't. I don't think we played anything else from Temples of Ice, but we have got plans to put in more. I mean, the difficulty is that with a band that has so many albums and so much music, it's very difficult to play everything. You want to play everything, but it's very difficult. But I will take that note. I'll tell Mantis we have to do the album in full, and I'll do what I can. So will he. He'll do what he can.
The last Venom Inc.
We'll try our
Gig
best. We'll try
here,
our best.
yeah, you played you played some songs up from Primeval, eh? Primeval were in the set, yeah, but not Temples of Ice, eh? The last time you came to São Paulo,
No, no,
yeah,
that's right. That's right. But you know what? What I try and cover all of the history and try and put new songs in, new old songs in, so that we can just so that no show's the same. You know, in the old days, you would do a whole tour and you would just play the same songs all the time. But these days, if we have 30 days of a tour and we play the first show, people
yeah.
take photographs of your set list and then share them on the internet. And it means that people waiting to see the very last show of the tour know what songs. So I try and keep it a bit more exciting and put songs in as a surprise that people have never heard live or that they don't think we'll ever play. So it's kind of trying to find a balance, you know, because
Ah,
you don't want to take songs out of the set, and putting songs in is difficult, you know, because
I can,
everybody wants to hear Countess Bass, black metal, all of that
yeah,
kind of
no,
stuff. And if we put other songs in, we got to take songs out. So, and then everybody complains that you took songs out, you didn't play this song. It's like, oh my God. So, you know,
no.
maybe we should plan a 2 week concert. So we start on a Monday and we end in 2 weeks later. But
Yeah, apart from the classic ones, I guess that it's gonna be a big challenge for you to build the set list because many songs, many things, many people to play to please, right? So that must be a big challenge for you to when you build up a set list to play.
exactly.
Yeah,
And I mean, and there's a perfect example. You know, when we used to go out as Empire of Evil, we had our own material to play, and everybody from Italy to Japan, every time we went anywhere, people would go, "You must play Welcome to Hell. You have
yeah,
to play it with Satan." Because, you know, and so we would end up doing Venom songs as an encore, not because we needed to, not because we thought we would, but because the fans were begging us. If you're here, you have to play. I remember playing one of the first shows as Empire of Evil in Sao Paulo, and a guy wrote
I was there.
on the internet. Oh, you were there. Ah, it was brilliant. That was when I jumped off stage at
It
the end of
was
the show, and everybody just
2013,
jumped
man.
on me. It was amazing.
2013. Really?
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was there.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. But there was a guy who wrote to a friend of mine after and said, you know, meaning me, Dolan has no right to be up there singing those Venom songs. Only Krona should sing them. In fact, I spent the whole show not looking at him. I only looked at Mantis. And I thought that
Ah,
was brilliant. It was like, well, at
the
least you
same
have this
thing,
show.
man. I have to tell you two things. Yeah, let me give me a moment right now, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in this show because it was very near to my house, my previous house, which was my mom on, and now it's close to the house. So I went there to see Empire of Evil, okay, and I stood in front of Mantis because I thought it was good because I could learn some of the riffs because when you listen to the album, okay, it's not so clear sometimes the thing. So I was just paying attention to Mantis because
Yeah.
I was just, oh my god, reaching hours like that. Well, okay, oh that. So I was paying attention to the guitar. It was like an obsession like this, but I was really impressive because I was just so close to Mentos, and I could learn some of the things that all my
Yeah.
whole what childhood I was trying to play. So what was very interesting. And the next one
Yes.
is when I met Mentos. Mentos when do you remember I picked you at the airport, right? The last time you came here in Brazil, yeah. And the day after, I picked
Yes.
him
Yeah.
up at the airport, yeah. And I talked to Mantas. Mantas, I watched you with Empire of Evil, Venom Inc. in 2015, and I'm going to be tomorrow. He was like, my God. Oh my God, you were all of them, like all the gigs you play here in Sao Paulo, I was in. Okay, he was like impressive. That's very good.
Brilliant.
All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Tony.
That's brilliant. That's a wonderful story, Mario. Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
good. That's good. So after Venom time, you had an acting career. Many people don't know about it. Okay, few people know about it. How was it? Okay, how did the acting career enter your life?
Well, I always worked in theatre as a technician. You know, I master carpenter, and then I became an automation engineer. So
Okay.
I would work in theatre on production. I worked for Queen on their musical. I ran that for a long time, and so I would do theatre at the Royal Shakespeare Company, and
Oh my
we were
God.
doing a tour of the world with the theatre, and I was in India, and I turned up for work as a technician, and one of the actors in the cast had been sick, and they said
Hey.
he's too sick to go on stage tonight, so we don't know what we should do. So I suggested maybe we find a local actor who could do Shakespeare and play the part for the evening. And they said to me, the production company said to me, but you know this player. And I said, yeah. They said, you're always quoting it. I went, well, yeah, I've been listening to it for like 2 years. And they said, would you do it? And I thought for a moment. And then I thought, I always used to tell my students, always say yes in life. Because if you say yes, you'll challenge yourself. And if it doesn't work out, you can always say, no, it's no good. But if you say no, you'll never know if you have done it or not. And you'll always question yourself,
Yeah.
could I have done that? So I just said, so I said
You
yes, and I
regret?
went on
Yeah.
stage and I played the part. But I didn't, yeah, but I didn't think that I wanted to be an actor. But about 3 or 4 months later, we were in London. We'd finished the tour, and I got a phone call on a Thursday from the director of that show, and he said, "Hi, Tony, it's Tim." I said, "Hi, how's everything going?" He said, "Do you remember when you were in India and you went on stage for us that time?" And I said, "Oh my God, yeah, that was great. That was so much fun." And he said, "We have another problem. Somebody's mother has died, and we need an actor to do 6 or 7 shows for us." And I said, "Okay." And he said that he just went in and asked the rest of the cast, did they know anybody we could get in to do it? And they all said, "Get Tony Dolan." So he said, "Would you come and do it?" I said, "Okay, if you teach me how to act properly." So I went and did the shows. He then did a whole load of class me, and then I got an agent. And before I knew what was happening, a month later, I was sitting next to Sylvester Stallone on the set of Judge Dredd, and that was it. I was acting, but it wasn't something I must do it, and it wasn't something I planned to do. It was just an opportunity that I just thought, why not? Life's for living. Let's see what happens. And I'm very proud. I work with a lot of great English actors. Like I say, Armand Desante, Sylvester Stallone. I was in Master and Commander with Paul Bettany, who plays Vision in the Marvel story, and Russell Crowe is a good friend of mine who was very generous to me, and amazing actors who are all well known here, and I never kind of stopped. I just found myself in Hollywood, um, and I was one evening I was in Hollywood looking at stars. I was at Samuel Goldwyn Jr.'s house, and there was all these people dressed up, all these Hollywood people, and I just thought, this is not who I am.
All right.
I love doing the acting, all this parties. It isn't who I am. I decided to do mine simple.
Okay. To sum up, it's a very different world from the metal scene. Eh?
Yeah,
It's the opposite.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's, you're performing. Yeah, you're performing on stage, so or in front of a camera. But I
Hmm.
think if you want to be successful, because somebody said to me once, how did it feel that you weren't successful being an actor? And I said, why do you think I wasn't successful? And they said, well, because you're not rich and living in Malibu. You're not as famous as Tom Cruise. I said, but I set my goals for myself. And I never said I wanted to be a millionaire. And I never said I wanted to have a house in Malibu or be Tom Cruise.
For
I
sure.
just took an opportunity to act, and I decided I wanted to be on stage doing Shakespeare. I did it. Then I decided that was so much fun. I'd like to be in a movie. I did more than one. And then I decided I'd like to do some TV stuff. And I've done more than that. And then I thought, I wonder if I could present some music shows or something. And I did 50 classic rock. So, am I famous? Maybe a little, but not a lot. Am I rich?
Yeah.
Not really. But did I
Oh, I missed you.
by else success? I would say I want to make. Yeah, if you decide you want to be in a band and all of a sudden you're in a band and then you say I want to make a record and you make a record, you have succeeded. That's
For
success.
sure.
If the world doesn't buy your music, is not the point. You
I totally
succeed.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about your success.
Yeah. It depends on the
Some
perspective,
people,
right?
some people, yeah, and some people measure that by looking at everybody else, and
Yeah.
and all kinds of things come into. But if they just looked at themselves, and challenge themselves, they succeed much quicker and be much happier.
Yeah, the best thing. Oh my God, this one was very, very. People are not believing this, right? What's good? What's good? And after you came back with the Empire of Evil, which was initially named Primeval or Prime Evil, but there was another band called this same name.
Yes,
So you need to change to Empire of Evil, and you released two, for me, remarkable albums. Okay, for me,
yes,
Crucified is a higher level, but you have all of Hell to the Holy, which is a good one. And then, what can you say to us? Because I think the Empire of Evil is the final, the final, the initial point to what you are today, the Venom Inc. Right? Something like this. It was a big,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. It is.
yeah,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, the thing was that I was not doing the music. I was living in London and working as a technician
okay,
and a production manager. And I got a project, and he had Anton playing drums, and I had to think for a bit, and I said, then we do it. It has to be a commitment that we just do. And Jeff agreed that's what he wanted to do. So that's what we did. And so we looked for a name, and they both wanted to use Primeval because of the album.
okay,
And I said there was a band out of New York were called Primeval. There was a band in California in the 70s called Primeval, and I don't know where the New York band got their name from, but they were known to me because of the bassist, because she was one of the only female bassists out of New York. Now the little singer from that band and the guitarist had some issues with me. The singer still has issues and calls me a douchebag and everything for trying to steal their name. So they wrote to me and went, "You can't call yourself Primeval," and they were trying to do all kinds. And I was trying to be diplomatic, so I thought, well, I can change the name. But Mantis and Anton were just saying, "Tell them to go fuck themselves." Well,
mm-hmm.
anyway, I managed to think. One night, I just looked at Primeval. I made an anagram which looked like Empire of Evil, so I went, let's call the band Empire of Evil. And then the band that was called Primeval then paid for a lawyer and sent us a letter to cease and desist using the name, but we'd already changed the name. So they spent a load of money they didn't need to. But, that's intelligence. You've either got brains or you haven't, and they didn't. But,
Yeah,
they were like, you taking the name, you named your album after our band, and it was like, I don't think so, because I wrote the track Primeval in 1988, and I don't think their band actually did anything till 1988. So it's like, I think it might have been a bit of coincidence.
yeah,
However, that's what we ended up doing. And then, yeah, Hell to the Holy was a great album. I really enjoyed doing that. And then we did a single, Demon, and then we
okay,
did Crucified.
yeah,
And in we did a live album and some stuff. But I think it laid the groundwork for what became Venom Inc. Yeah, without a doubt. We had a really great following. People bought. We sold out all of our stuff. We played shows all over the planet. We had a great time, and the more we played, the more fans that came, and we got to play Venom songs as well as everything else. So we really enjoyed ourselves, and there was no record company. I was doing the management, so there was no politics. There was no people feeding off us. It was just us and the fans and the music. It was perfect. And
yeah,
then, of course, we got invited to do Keep It True Festival as
yeah,
Empire of Evil,
uh,
and then the guy who ran it, Oliver, who's a dear friend, said, "Look, if you did that show and Abaddon was there, do you think you could do 4 or 5 Venom songs just for the fans? Because there's about 2,000 people come. And I said, Oliver, no way. This is not going to happen because Jeff will just say, fucking nowhere. And so,
Okay.
anyway, I asked Jeff and he said, fucking nowhere, nowhere. I asked Abaddon. He said, yes, of course, because he wasn't doing anything else. So I then went back to Jeff and I convinced him that it would just be 4 or 5 songs. We'd play our set. Then we'd change over, bring Abaddon on just for the fans, play 4 or 5 songs because it was never going to happen with Kronos and them. So I thought,
Okay.
well, I don't want the fans to not be able to see those two either. So, I went out there thinking people are going to throw shit at me and call me a wanker and fuck me off. And I thought, I don't really care because this is not about me. This is about the songs and this is about Venom and this is about these two guys who deserve to be honored too. And so we went on stage and the place went fucking crazy. And then after that, people just wanted us to go and play shows everywhere. So I'd kind of put together the name Venom Inc. and even printed some shirts off just to kind of, give the fans something.
Yeah.
And after that show, that was it. We were called Venom Inc. And the 3 of us went out and toured, China, Japan, Russia, Australia, America, South America, everywhere. And it was really good for 2 years. And then it all went crazy, typical Venom stuff again. And I just said, I'm too old for this shit. I'm not here to deal with your politics. I'm not here to deal with your ego or your bullshit or your rock star fucking crap. I'm here to play music to fans who want to hear it, and that's all I'm here for. And and so I just said that's it, and we moved on, and here we are now. Here we are now.
But just one thing that you passed a little bit from my thing here. All right, no, that's good. That's good. I was just
Okay.
to mention that
Okay.
in the beginning it was Venom Inc. Iron and Steel. Iron and Steel was like the name that you
Yeah.
what a transitional name, huh? Yeah. When you came here
Yeah. I
in
mean, I
uh,
I, I think now carry on. Yeah.
yeah, carry on.
No. Yes. We the agent that I had said we needed to have a name that would connect fans to who we were, and Maz didn't want to use the name anywhere, so he came up with Iron and Steel, which of course is a chorus part of the chorus line from Die Hard. But we
Hmm.
didn't feel it was a strong band name, so we Abaddon decided he wanted to use the original logo because Conrad was using the other logo, so it was like a bitch fight. So
Okay.
I was mulling around with, I was thinking of ideas, and I just thought, why don't we call ourselves Venom Incorporated? That way, it's not about being a corporation or a business. It's just about saying we can play any music that any one of us has done. So we could play everything from Atomkraft to Mantis to Abaddon to Venom to, and I just thought we just call ourselves Incorporated. This is who we are, and we'll play whatever we want to play whenever we want to play it. And so that was the idea. So we put the first posters out, Venom Incorporated Iron and Steel, and then it was Venom Inc. Iron and Steel, and then it was just Venom Inc. And then everybody just forgot everything, and then it's just Venom Inc. has stuck, and that's who we are, I guess.
I don't know if you are aware, but you set a kind of trend here in Brazil because when you have two bands and they are disputing the name of the band, one band keeps with the original one and the other one keeps Pan plus Ink. Yeah,
Oh,
really,
really, really?
really.
Yes. Oh, if I can, if one of, one of the most amazing things from 2 years ago was that Marvel have the character Venom, as
Okay,
everybody knows, and they were talking about doing a Venom movie.
yeah,
And So we were on our third or fourth tour of America, and I got a message from Marvel, and then they released a new comic called Venom Inc. And they had messaged because they said, yeah, because they were worried about a copyright because I own the name and the logo Venom Inc. And so they sent a message to me as the management to say this is what they were doing, but to distinguish the logos so there wasn't any conflict. But I was so amazed that they decided to put a Marvel magazine out called Venom Inc., which was a direct correlation to us. So I'm very honored by that. It's very good. It's very good.
My
We didn't
God.
get any money off them bastards,
I know, but tell me something
but I thought
about
if
this.
I
Yeah,
thought if
about the logo. About the logo. You use the Welcome to Hell logo, okay, which is different from the black metal one onwards, right? Right. So
yes, yes,
you can use the original one. Is it?
yes, I mean the yes, there's a guy called Roger Dean, and
Okay.
he's an artist. He created the logos for Asia, yes, and all of that. And the
Mm,
original Venom logo was a tracing that Abaddon did from Roger Dean's name. He did a book, and on the front
okay.
cover is his name in a font. And Abaddon kind of saw the V, so he traced it out and put together the word Venom. So, but at the time, the name was just used by all of them. So Kronos kind of reshaped it a little bit for black metal, which is why he uses that logo because he says that's my logo. Abaddon just complains that it isn't his logo and blah blah blah. They fight. But in reality, the original logo is actually Roger Dean's because it was his font that he created. And I
Uh,
went to see Roger Dean, and I showed him the logo so I could get permission and get him to sanction it. And yeah, and Mantis created the ink to fit in with your logo, but it wasn't exactly this. So I redesigned it now to fit in. So I guess Venom Ink. It's not about. I don't want people to think that we're called that for any other reason than it was Venom Incorporated, and it wasn't to piss Conrad off, and it wasn't to piss fans off or confuse fans. It was to
okay.
keep the whole connective tissue. Um, and it's a battle that nobody will win if they want to fight it in court
No,
because
no,
it,
no.
so I think it's great to distinguish between the two. That's Venom, and that is Kronos' band with whoever he wants to play with. And we were Venom for Primeval, and this is who we are. So using the original logo distinguishes between the two. And I think in a way where Kronos feels more progressive with his new band, his new albums, each album is a bit more progressive. Um, than the original albums. I think we kind of had a more punky attitude, with Abaddon, of course, because of his style of playing, and of course Mantis, So I guess it seemed right that we would call ourselves Venom Inc. So we're pre-black metal, and Cronus is post-black metal album. I guess that's how you could look at it.
And if we could set a winner for this, would be the fans because they have two bands to follow, two hands to listen to. So it's very good for me that I always love it. Venom, it's a superb situation for me because I can listen to Venom and Venom also
Exactly,
have two bands now. That's interesting. Quite,
exactly. There's nothing to lose, only to gain.
yeah, yeah. And
Both
every
bands should deliver the best music.
yeah, yeah. And the album is awesome. Okay, Ave is has a modern sound. Okay, comparing now to Primeval, Temples of Ice, Age. Okay, it's much more big. For example, the quality of the songs are very cool. and reminds the old Venom with some new ingredients. So I think Ava is fantastic, man. I like it a lot, man.
I think that's when we, because I didn't want to make an album. I thought it might be politically a pain in the ass and people would start arguing and it would be a nightmare. In the end, it was much easier. It was just myself and Mantis.
Yeah.
I focused on the artwork and the deals and all of that, and let Mantis just write and write and write. And then they wanted to give us a producer, but Mantis wanted to produce, and he'd been producing Empire of Evil, and I thought he was doing an amazing job, and he was really, really enjoying it, and he wanted to push himself and challenge himself. And this was a big move because we signed to Nuclear Blast. We had John Zazula, Chuck Billy managing us, so this was a big thing, and they were wanting to give us a producer, and Jeff said he wanted to do it. So they hit me
Mm-hmm.
up and said, "Look, I know Mantis is to produce the album, but do you think he can?" And I said, "Do I think he can? Listen,
Uh-huh.
nobody knows us better than Jeff knows, and he can do the job." And I think he did amazing job, and I'm so proud of what he did. And I think it has all the energy, it has all the identity, and he did a great job on. I mean, what I can say is that we're in the middle of making the new album right now, and if you thought he did a good job on Arve production wise, wait till you hear the new album. And if you think Arve song wise was a good album, this one
Oh my
is
God.
a killer. Then, so we're so, it sounds fucking brutal. It's
Before we
louder,
start,
it's faster,
bef-
it's more
yeah,
dynamic. It's
before we talk about the new album of Venom Inc., I have a special section that I'd like you to talk. It's tell me something about this record here.
ah,
What can you tell me
brilliant,
something
brilliant.
about this?
Well, you know, that where I live in London, the cover, the cover of Ace of Spades, that was shot in a quarry, in an old quarry, and it's
Wow.
it's about 20 minutes from my house. That location, and I was thinking today, someone posted the location. I thought I should go there and take some photos and then just show everybody because it's really near my house. So
Did
it's
you
like the
really?
Black Sabbath house, Maple. Yeah, it's like an hour from my house. The cover of Judas Priest, Sin After Sin, is, or Sadwing, no, Sin After Sin, yeah, I think it is. Yeah, that's like just on the other side of London. So I'm right in the middle of all these iconic albums. I should do a whole day where I just go around and show them all. But that album, can I tell you something? Uh, when Ace of Spades came out, 1980,
Yeah.
it was all I wanted in the world. I heard that I had to have an album, and I saw the tour, and I had the sweatshirt, and I met the guys, and I was like, "Fuck!" And so Christmas was coming up, and I didn't have any money,
Okay.
which was usually for me. I was always broke. So I had no money. I wasn't working. So I was dropping hints all the time. And then eventually I kept talking about the album. And so Christmas was coming. And 2 days before Christmas, an LP appeared under the Christmas tree wrapped up. And I was like, oh my fuck. That's it. That's it. I'm getting it. So for 3 days, I was like staring at this piece of cardboard thinking, fuck, fuck. And I was so excited. Christmas morning, about 5 a.m., I got up, I ran downstairs, I ripped open the cover, and guess what was there? It was Status Quo rocking all over the world. And when my mum got up, I went, "What the fuck is this?" And she went, "Don't you
I
swear
was
in my
waiting for
house." I said,
Ace of
"What is
Spades.
this?" Well, I knew you look at me. I did. the spot. I was like, it's cool. I fucking Ace of Spades.
It was like a trauma for you.
I was like, oh my God, fuck. Yeah, that
That's
was
good.
funny. That was funny. I was so excited too. You can imagine my face tearing open the cover and going, what the fuck is this? Yeah, a bit of a letdown. That was not a happy Christmas. Yeah,
Yeah.
never
Another
mind.
one.
Much like the first, yeah, kill 'em all.
Okay, yeah.
Classic.
What are you
Classic
gonna ask
right
me?
there.
What are you gonna ask me? What will you ask me before?
Oh, no,
Before I show you.
I was just going to say, I was going to say about Ace of Spades. I was going to say it's much like the first album I ever got, which was Queen, News of the World.
Yeah.
And that was my first album. And I tell you why it was album, not because I thought it was the best album or I was that into Queen or anything else. It was I stole it from a record store and it was the closest record to the door that I could grab and run out. So that was my first album.
Awesome.
It could have been any album. It could have been Elton John or the Bee Gees. It was just by the door, and I thought I'm fucking nicking this, and I just ran off. So fortunately for me, it was Queen News of the World. So it's a pretty good album. So it wasn't
Yeah.
so bad.
It's worth. So what can you tell me about this one?
Well, Ace of Spades was a classic, but so is Kill 'Em All. And I think that I was in Impulse Studios, which was the studios where Neat Records became Neat Records,
Yeah.
um, in the early 80s. And it was about 1982, 83, I think 83. And I was in there. We recorded a demo with Atomkraft called Total Metal. And I was running off copies onto cassette to send to people.
Good.
One of the people I was going to send it to was Paul Baloff, who was singing with Exodus. But
Yeah, yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I was running off copies, and a guy came in, and this guy came in and went, "Hey, how are you?" And I went, "I'm all right." And he said, "My name's Sam," and I was like, "Sam?" He went, "Yeah, I'm Sam Kress. I'm from California," and I was like, "Wow."
Wow.
That's amazing. You're from California. I was lit cool. He said, "Is that Venom?" And I said, "No, no, no. This is Atomkraft." I said, "We're kind of like Venom, except we're not satanic. We sing about nuclear war and stuff." And he said, "Wow, could I get a copy of your tape?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I can run you a copy." He said, "Yeah, I'll trade you for one of mine." And he gave me the tape, and the tape was the No Life Till the original Metallica tape.
Oh, the
And I
demo.
went home, and I remember getting my guitar. Yeah, and I got my guitarist, and we went home, and I cassette on, and we listened to Hit the Lights, and my guitarist stood up and went, "That's so shit. That's too fast, and
Too fast.
nobody will be famous playing that fast. It's ridiculous. Listen to the whole thing. This is incredible." And when you think about that, Hit the Lights by Whiplash, which seemed like
Yeah.
so crazy fast then, now with beats, it's nothing. But 1983 was like, what the fuck is going on? And here's a one, you know, my nephew is a great musician. He's from Canada.
Oh, really?
Great musician, writes amazing songs, got his countries when 3 by me putting headphones on him and playing Kill 'Em All, the Kill 'Em All album. And then when he grew up, he was totally into metal and DC and everything. And my sister always goes, "That's your fault. That's your fault. Make him listen to that shit." And I'm going, "It's great. It's great." But there's a one for you, you know, because I used to trade tapes and stuff, and so there's all kinds of bands I was getting introduced to, and you know, from Chuck Shoulder, I got the first Death that were Mantis from Chuck, you know, Cawthorn, the Hellhammer boys, you know, I was getting
Uh,
tapes and trading with everybody, and that's how we got to know Destruction, all of that, and
yeah.
Pete Steele from, you know, when he was in Carnivore, you know, I used to trade tapes with him, and I got a tape from a band called Cryptic Slow.
Cryptic Slaughter.
I know they're a New York kind of punky band. Yeah.
Mhm.
But when I first heard Cryptic Slaughter, I thought they were French. I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. They were so fast. I was like, what is this? I didn't understand it. And I used to say, have you want to hear a French band? Because couldn't understand what they were singing. It was, but good times.
All right. And James Hetfield went to see you, Venom Inc. When you were touring the U.S. The last one,
Yeah,
was it?
yeah. There's a guy called Brian, and he's out of San Francisco, and he was Sam Cress's friend, and they did a magazine in 1981 called Whiplash, and
Wait.
um, and we were after it. Megadeth. Dave Mustaine had just left Metallica, so Dave Mustaine's new band Megadeth was in it. Raven,
Okay.
Metallica, and Venom, of course.
Yeah.
And we were touring America, and I didn't know that Brian Lew had went on to work so closely, of course, with all the Bay Area thrashers know him, and Metallica, and he's a good friend of James Hetfield. And we were
Yeah.
on tour, and Brian wrote to me and said, "Oh, when you guys play in San Francisco, I'm going to come down to the show. I want to bring a copy of the magazine, see you guys. It's been, that would be great. Yes, it would be great. Come down." And he said, could I bring a guest?" And I said, "Of course you can. It's my birthday, so of course you can bring a guest." And he went,
Wow.
"Okay." And his guest was Jim Hetfield. And it was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, the last time I'd kind of seen the boys physically myself was when they were recording Master of Puppets in Copenhagen.
My
We
God.
played a show in Copenhagen with Venom and Exodus, and
Oh,
they came down to the show because they were there recording the album, and they brought King Diamond with them, and so everybody was hanging out, and it's like, you know, when I think about it now, it's incredible. But then it was just, we were all just young fans, and it was all happening, and everybody was just in it. So it was really wonderful that James came for my birthday, and talking to him, just chatting like we're chatting, was just fantastic. And I'm very fond of him. I mean, all the guys, but he's quite a special dude to me. So it was nice to see him, and that he was, you know, obviously very rich, obviously very famous, obviously very successful, but the same
yeah.
guy that I met in Copenhagen, he was the same guy, just the same guy, smiling, laughing, alive, and it was wonderful to see.
That's good. And the last one to tell me
Yeah.
something. A Brazilian one. Yeah?
Never, yes, yeah, I still miss Cherry. I miss Cherry, but you know, he's amazing guys, and we had the most wonderful time with them on tour with Vital Remains and Mortuary Drape and those guys. I just love them so much, and amazing band. And I hear, funnily enough, that Brian Werner from Vital Remains is now going to sing with Nervo Chaos, which is amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I got on with, yeah, amazing. But I got on with Cherry so well, of course, and yeah, she's a sad miss because she was just such an incredible. She was an incredible person, you know, like no other person you could meet. She
Yeah.
was just
It was
like
such
totally just, I don't know,
a
bittersweet.
huge
Sad,
loss.
sad loss.
Yeah, for all of us. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah,
Tony, what about the plans for Venom Inc?
Well, we are announcing on Friday a tour, and it's part one of a three-part tour. And then in early New Year, we're going to Australia and Asia with Exciter from Canada, with Dan Beeler and the boys.
Okay.
Is the plan right now. And we're in the middle of making the new album. We're doing the new album, which we should have ready to deliver by end of summer.
Okay.
And we've got a big announcement. We got festivals for 2021, but there's a big announcement coming in regards to a live performance in the next week or so, which will be up on our social media. We have a new merch site to the Big Cartel, and we have a brand new website, which is venoming.co.uk. And we have a fan club called Warheads. You can go there and join, and you get a great joining package, like stickers and photos, and then what I've been working on with the guys from the fan club is that if you join the fan club, you're going to get special discounted stuff first. You're going to get first shot at anything from shows to releases to merchandise to whatever. So we want to make it like a family this time. And we don't want to rip anybody off. We don't want to send them shit stuff. And we don't want to just like count on their money. We want to make this about the fans because the band is the fans.
Yeah.
So that's been our real focus for me, is getting that done. But the album sounds amazing so far, and we're not near finished, but excited by it. I mean, it's furious, absolutely furious. It sounds like thunder. So we're
How
so
many
excited.
songs?
But
How many songs do you have?
Yes, how many? I know. Everybody wants to know, but I'm not telling anybody any titles or any songs.
But
But put it this way,
is
we have
Jeremy
more than
is
enough.
Jeremy
More than enough.
uh is Jeremy on the drums?
Yes, he is. I mean, put Jeremy on the kit because he's been doing such a great job, and he's become part of the sound. And I don't think I don't think it's a secret that we couldn't get Abbott on Harvey because he couldn't play to a click, and he didn't get the songs, and he just couldn't do what we needed him to do. And we specifically tried to aim the songs. Mantis wrote with him in mind, so we tried to make it as easy as we could for him. But I don't know, maybe it was age or he hadn't played for long enough, and it was a real shame because you know the shows were a bit difficult to do.
Yeah.
He's a likable guy and the fans liked Abaddon, but at the end of the day, if the beer can looks good but the beer sucks, it's not good. So, and we needed the beer to be good, and we're just too old to be putting up with sloppy stuff, and we needed something. We didn't need a Dave Lombardo, Scaglione, a Porfoy. We didn't need that kind of precision, but we did need someone who was into it and believed in it and kept time. And I think, at the end of the day, someone just wants to be a rock star and pick up chicks and drink whiskey is like, it's fun as long as you do the job. But if you're not doing the job, it's not fun anymore. You're just carrying someone. And the difference with Mr. Kling is he lives and breathes music just like Mantis. So it's perfect. It's perfect. And he delivers. He delivers. He's an absolute powerhouse. I played with many bands and many drummers I've seen. And I've seen the most incredible drummers playing the most incredible stuff. But one thing Abaddon had that I'd never seen was how hard he hit the drums. He would fucking crucify them. He would hit so hard. And Jeremy Kling hits hard. Abaddon. Kling hits harder than Abaddon. And I've never seen anybody hit that hard. So I'm like, fucking hell, this kid, he's got to be with us because that's what we're about.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
I've
but he's done
seen
it. He's done all the tracks now. All
uh
drum tracks.
yeah, I've seen your post Any news are coming. Okay, so we'll be expecting. But Brazil are in your plans for next year. Brazil.
You know, me, Brazil is in my plans every day. So yes, we have been in negotiations with Nuclear Blast Brazil and some promoters, and I want to do as many shows as we can. But we have festival shows announced and a series of shows for Brazil. I'm trying to get some maybe we don't get Fortaleza, but certainly and I'd like to get us as many as working on that, and it'll be part of a South American run, where we'll do some other countries to Bolivia, Peru, Chile, and Mexico. But yeah, our plans are as soon as we can to get us into back to Brazil so I can see everybody and we can bring the new album.
Oh, awesome, awesome. All right. Before we finish, okay, unfortunately, okay, I'd like to announce, okay, that Damir Isik, no, Iskich, yeah, Iskich, the Destruction guitar player will be here on June 28th. All right, I'm going to tell you the time, the real time, okay? So it's going to be the second Metal World Live sessions, okay? We had the first one with my friend Tony Dolan from Venom Inc., which was a great pleasure. Okay, I hope to see you again personally next year. Okay, Tony. Okay, send my greetings to all of you of Venom Inc. Uh, I know that you are going to bring us some new brutal stuff, and I hope to be with you again. Thank you very much, Tony. Your final considerations, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Mario, and best to you, the family, all the guys. And thank you so much. And I love to do it. It was great fun. And I shall see you very soon. And thank everybody in Brazil. Be safe because it's crazy times. We're locked down, but we'll all get through this and we shall see you. Just be safe. All my love. Keep Brazil for me already. And I'll see you very soon.
That's good. That's good. Thank you, all the people, for coming
Good.
here to talk with us. Thank you, Montreal Music, Ahira. Thank you, Villa Shan. Yes, all the beer and all stuff. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you very much, Tony. Oh, Tony's banging on his hand. Thank you, guys.
Believe me.
Yeah.
All
See
right.
you next Now World Live Sessions. Bye bye, people.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao.